Get your money repositioned to protect it from excessive tax and inflation. In this episode, I'm going to address the question, what to do with your money now Biden is president. Get ready. I'm going to share with you some things that I'm doing and that I would recommend that you seriously consider to protect your money from unnecessary tax and from inflation, which is around the corner. So my name's Doug Andrew, and I've been a financial strategist, retirement planning specialist for more than 4.5 decades. But I've helped a lot of people, business owners, individuals prepare for a comfortable retirement and save unnecessary tax. Now, let me just share with you, none of this is a political agenda. When people ask me my opinion, I will usually say, well, do you want me to be honest or gentle? And they say honest. So let me tell you my honest opinion of sort of what happens when we have Congress and the executive branch, depending upon their political philosophy about economics and taxes and so forth. So I'm going to super simplify right now. Generally, one political party will lean towards bigger government, more social programs, and the way you fund that is by raising taxes, right? The other political party generally says, no, let's have less government, have people take ownership for their own future more and their health care and what have you. And the way that you raise tax revenue is by raising the revenue that's being taxed instead of raising taxes. Because if you raise taxes, it actually causes employers to have to lay off people. Unemployment goes up. The cost of living causes all kinds of problems because of the ripple effect. Now, when we talk about what to do, I don't care if it's a Republican or a Democrat administration, Congress, or what have you. When you understand this and you look at history, you will see when certain tax laws were passed based upon who was the controlling power in Congress and or the executive branch. It's as clear as day when you look at it. So right now we have President Joe Biden, who's been elected. And so he basically has believed in his 46 plus years that, government should provide more and more and more, and therefore you need to raise taxes, redirect taxes by redistributing and so forth, okay? Now, that shouldn't be a surprise. So when we look at that, he has already announced in his candidacy and now as president with executive orders, he's starting to initiate a lot of these things in order to fund what he said he would do. Just one initiative for immigrants that come in without health care and so forth, he said, I need $750 billion for that. And so he passed a tax law affecting, capital gains. He wants to double the capital gains tax rate and do away with the step-up in basis. He says he wants to get rid of the Trump tax cuts, which caused all kinds of economic growth and so forth. He realizes, though, oh, golly, maybe it will hurt the middle class. So maybe he'll just tax higher rates for the rich. Yeah. So, but I found that a lot of times wealthy people give voluntarily to charity 20 to 30% of their income. Where I find that a lot of people, business owners, they resent being forced to pay more and more and more in tax, where the taxes go to causes maybe they don't support. So let me give you an example of what oftentimes I've done in mixed audiences, whether it was Republicans or Democrats, so that you'll understand what I'm talking about here. So oftentimes I'll have an audience of 60 people up to 6,000 people, and I will flash up on the screen the general categories where our federal government, for example, spends tax dollars. I don't put the percentage, I just put the categories, and then I have a sheet of paper for every one of them, and I ask all of them to write down what percent of their civic or social dollars, okay? We must give back to society. And most governmental systems have a method whereby we must give back to society, and that normally comes in the form of taxes. So I say, What percent would you allocate towards national parks and this? And how much would you allocate towards health care for all? How much would you? And so they write down the percent. Do you know, it doesn't matter whether the people are Republican or Democrat, the percent that most people would choose if they had the choice to allocate their money never is close to where the government allocates our tax dollars. So how did we get here? If most people, if they voluntarily could choose, would not choose to put that much towards this, it doesn't even come close to where the government is allocating the money. I'm just saying, okay, well, if you take ownership and you could redirect otherwise payable taxes to causes you support, I think that is usually a way most Americans would like to go. But sometimes taxpayers just sort of stick their head in the sand and it's open season with the IRS out there and they're out there hunting. So I'm not anti-government. What I'm saying is beware, because when we have those who want to support initiatives that seem to be popular, like, Medicare for all or free college tuition, sounds good, but those are estimated each to cost north of $100 trillion in the next decade. You divide that by 10 years, that's $10 trillion a year each. Do you know that $10 trillion is twice as much as the IRS collects in taxes in an entire year for their already expensive budget of $5 trillion? That means they would need 3 times as much tax revenue as they've been getting. So I'm just saying, you don't want to see your taxes go up to 60 and 70%. You could reposition some of your serious cash to tax-free vehicles that actually will help out America way more than just raising taxes. Because if you empower people to take ownership for their own future and it's tax-free, they will not need to have or rely on government programs for money. It's that simple. Whenever you take ownership of anything, you'll take better care of it. When was the last time you ever washed a rental car or changed the oil on a rental car? People don't wash rental cars. They wash their own car. See, the secret to American prosperity has always been in ownership, deeds, titles, and articles of incorporation. And so understanding that, with Biden's tax proposals, he wants to raise income tax, capital gain tax by double, do away with the step-up in basis, estate tax he wants to increase from 46% to 67%. He wants to raise minimum wage, which sounds good on the surface, but it will cause unemployment and a recession. So if we have that coming soon, I want you to protect yourself. So here's what I would recommend. So before I share with you what I would do if I were in your shoes as a patriotic American taxpayer, I'm a red-blooded American. I think we should all pay our fair share of tax. But if I can show you how to redirect otherwise payable taxes to causes you support, would that empower you? How about others? So share this episode. Click like, post a comment, subscribe, and be sure and click the bell when you subscribe, because then you'll be notified every time I post an educational video like this, okay? And I'm going to gift you my most recent best-selling book at the end. So let me share with you what I would do if I were in your shoes. If you want to protect your money, take ownership of your own future. Take ownership for your health, okay? Make sure that you eat right and so forth, because the best way is for you to take ownership of your own future. Now, if we're talking about your financial independence, I have found that there's good ways. That might be a traditional IRA or 401k, but better ways could be a Roth IRA or 401k, but I like the best way, because I've always had a little ditty that goes, good, better, best. Never let it rest. Never let it rest till good gets better and better gets best. The best way to save and to protect yourself and to help out America is to take ownership by setting aside your money into something that's superior to IRAs or 401ks or Roths that can be totally tax-free. Why is it tax-free? It's not a loophole. It's because you are choosing to take ownership, And the government knows that if you do this, you will not need to rely on government. You could even bypass Social Security because you will have more income in retirement than just rolling over and paying a bunch of unnecessary tax. So when you put your money into something that's tax-free, it's tax-free for a reason. You're actually helping out America more. And when you understand economics, and you can do this and learn this by reading the book I'm going to gift you here, then you will actually be able to hedge against inflation, because with President Biden's initiatives, it's going to create printing of money. See, if you don't have enough money and you can't get it from taxes, the government prints money, and that causes inflation. So we have taxes and inflation, which is what erodes away most people's money in retirement, and it causes them to outlive their money when the cost of living goes up by double every 7 to 10 years. Pretty soon, you need $100,000 a year to buy what $50,000 used to buy 10 years ago. And then in another 10 years and 20 years, you're going to need 4 times as much money. You're going to need $200,000 to buy what $50,000 used to buy 20 years earlier. So you want to have your money in something where inflation helps you instead of hinders you. You link your returns to the things that inflate. So inflation, as much as I don't like it any more than you do, it doesn't hurt me because my money is linked to the things that inflate. The third thing is to not have your money subject to market volatility. Because when all of a sudden these changes take place, it causes employers to lay off people, unemployment goes up, taxes go up on corporations, so they have to cut. And so this causes recessions and ups and downs, and the stock market goes crazy, and people then don't have predictable rates of return because of market volatility. So let me show you how to eliminate those dangers, and you can learn by reading my most recent best-selling book, and I'll gift it to you. So my miracle solution, it's like a financial Swiss Army knife. It has all kinds of uses for all kinds of financial goals. But I call it the Laser Fund because the acronym LASER, I've used for years, stands for liquid assets, safely earning returns. And when you study this, you'll understand how you can accumulate, access, and transfer your money totally tax-free. So you eliminate the danger of taxes going up. Inflation, you link your returns to the things that inflate, so that if inflation goes to 5, you'll earn 10. If it goes to 10, you'll earn 15. If inflation goes to 15, you'll earn 20. I've been doing this for 4.5 decades. But when the market goes up, you get to benefit. But when the market goes down, you don't lose. That's called indexing. Are you curious? Well, I've scratched the surface only. Go to laserfund.com, laserfund.com, or better yet, just click below on the link below. You contribute a nominal amount toward the shipping and handling. I'll pay for the book and fire it out to you. It's actually 2 books in one. This one is the Left Brain Charts, Graphs, and Explanations. You flip it over to this one. This has 62 actual client stories. And you can begin to become empowered to not worry about what Congress is doing, who's in power, because you're taking ownership for your brighter future.